um, and just welcome you all. Welcome to this Brave Book Writing Workshop. There is nothing that I get more excited about than writing brave words and getting them out into the world. And so if that is hopefully why you're here, I hope I can give you some nuggets today. Couple more people joining in here, so hang in there with me. And second question I have for you guys while we're waiting just a minute. So if you didn't already type in where you're calling from, hey Lisa, type in where you're calling from. But second question is, what stage of writing are you in? Have you started thinking? Have you started writing? Have you been writing for a while? Or are you actually on your second or more book? Which one are you? You started thinking, actually started writing, been writing for a while, or actually on to book 2 or beyond? Where are you at? Lisa, you guys can all hear me, right? I think you're the only one that cannot hear me. I'm not sure why, girl. Check your audio settings, check your mute buttons, unplug and plug back in your ear pods, your whatever pods. Okay, so thinking about your second book. Cool, Phyllis. Just started writing. Awesome. Thinking and listing. Okay, and not started yet. Olela. Okay, good. Thinking about writing a second book and a course. Yes, Shelley. Cool. Okay, oh, here comes another cut. Sorry, I've got a friend I can see that has tried 4 times to come into the waiting room. And so every time I hit admit, it looks like it's happening and he's having trouble getting in. Sorry guys, I'm stalling just for a minute because I can see that happening. Hey, Susan, welcome. Lisa, can you hear us yet? Can you hear me yet? Maybe not. Okay, so one other thing I am going to give to you guys, and just a warning, the workbook that I created for this webinar is big. It's like I should be selling this thing. It's a little book, okay? And it's really cool, and you can print it out, and you can do lots of the exercises in it. And aside from trying to email you that huge thing, I thought maybe I would try this and drop it here in the chat as a Dropbox file because it is big. So I'm doing this little test. So some of you go ahead and click on that and tell me what happens. And if all else fails, I'll email it to you somehow. I'll figure it out. But
got it.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, wow. Yay. Okay, so have fun with the workbook, you guys. Don't look at it right now, okay? You're all going to want to look at it. Normally, I drop it at the end of the class, but I kind of wanted to see if the Dropbox worked. So that's awesome. I was afraid you guys would have been like locked out of it or something. So, and if you're listening to the replay, please just send me a quick email and I will email that to you. I'll give you the Dropbox link. When you're thinking about writing your book, your second book, any words, even blogs and different kinds of writing, it's really awesome to get into action before you're ready. So if any of you are procrastinators and you do way too much thinking and not enough doing, it's probably the reason why your stuff isn't written and out in the world yet, right? So I greatly believe, and part of the mission behind Brave Healer Productions is to write those brave words and get them out there somebody's waiting to hear your message. someone whose life will be changed by it. It's that big of a deal. So if you're sitting there in procrastination mode and this isn't good enough mode and what if this mode, you're just stuck in your head, you're thinking too much and you're just not writing. So just write. There's editors that can make it shine. There's people that can support you to get that right, right? So do yourself a favor, get into that workbook later, do the exercises. We're not going to cover all of them in this workshop, but I will try to get to a few of the key ones that I know will motivate and inspire you. And if you don't know me very well, I am the owner of Brave Healer Productions, and it's been my mission for the last 4 or 5 years to help fellow healthcare practitioner healer types write those words and get them out into the world in a bit bigger way. So I am doing some co-author book projects. We have a couple of our co-authors on the line, on the call with us today. Thank you guys for being here. I'm helping people publish their solo books. I am a certified content marketer and blogger through Smart Blogger, amazing guy with a lot of really cool things to teach about blogging. And essentially, if it's about writing, I love it. And I'm really, really excited to get you guys motivated into the action of your writing, into the getting it done part. So my background is 30 years of holistic physical therapy. And what I know from that, from going from working for other people to opening up my own practice, is that, of course, I went to school to be a healer, not a marketer and not a business person. So all of those things that you have to learn along the way can be very time consuming and frustrating and all of that good stuff. But when I started to write, especially books, was when the business started to have a different feel. It started to shift. It started to transform. People started to understand who I was and what I do in the world in a better way. And I started to attract more of the people I was born to serve. The book writing, you guys, can position you as an authority in your field, an expert, and you guys have heard all of this stuff before, right? But there's truth to it. I tried to look it up before we started the call because someone dropped a statistic for me a little bit ago about just what percentage of people actually move forward and write their books. And I think because all of us entrepreneurs are in these circles with writers and the books and everything going on, we think everybody's doing it. That's not true. It's a very small percentage of people who actually move forward and then go through with it and finish and publish it and launch it into the world. You all are warriors and trailblazers. You need to be really proud of even thinking of writing a book. It takes a special kind of person. It's a small percentage, even though I know you see all of this stuff around you all the time. If you're putting yourself in circles of writers, of course, you think everybody's doing this. Not everybody does this, you guys. So be proud of yourself for thinking about it, for doing it, for getting into your second one and making it better than the first, whatever stage you're at. I am really honored to be in your presence and know that I'm not alone in the world of wanting to share my stories and my words to help people, you know, to change the world. So thank you for that. Thanks for being here and doing it with me. I want to do a few things today. I want to help you guys get clear about what this book is. And I have a couple of things to talk to you about in terms of that. I want you to understand more about why it's important to have a book for your business. I touched on it a little bit already. I want to help you with a strategy to actually complete your first rough draft. That's a big deal, right? Like to be at the point where you have your first rough draft out of you and you're ready to edit it, get it edited, get it designed, get it that next step. That's a big step. it would be cool to have a strategy rather than just this thought in your mind of, I should really write a book, right? How about a plan? And so I'm going to help you a little bit with that today. And just again, repeating myself, but the workbook link that I dropped for you is going to take you through some of the steps of this strategy. So I really tried and I would love feedback on the workbook, you guys, because if that's a new little thing for me. Tell me what you loved about it. Tell me what was missing. And because I'm constantly trying to improve that little freebie that I give out. I want you to have an idea of what the important parts of publishing your book are, and or if you guys have questions specifically for me about any of the stage I've been in with my books. I have 9 of them, soon to be 13 published books. Ask away. I am an open book, about that, and I will be happy to answer your questions. And then I would also touch on, if we get to it, what the steps of a successful launch looks like. It's hard if you're at the stage of just thinking about writing a book to think about launching. However, you'll be thanking me for talking about it now, even if you're just in the thinking stages. Because if you can think about the book and think about how you're going to launch it into the world at the same time, you're going to be 100 steps ahead of the average person who waits and then is like, oh my gosh, I actually have to, what do I do? You know, and then you actually have to launch it into the world, and you have to understand the steps of that. So before I get into some of those things more specifically, I'm actually just going to ask you guys, what's the biggest burning question you have today? Anyone want to be brave? What's the thing you were hoping to get the answer to today? Unmute and tell me. Anyone?
I think I need a little motivation.
Motivation, why? Just because it's a daunting process of writing that second book, Shelley?
Yes, but also I just took some time off for myself, and now I'm kind of I got into relaxing and TV, and now I just have to get up again.
Okay, good.
Just being honest.
Yeah, and I mean, it's always the roller coaster of self-care and then back to work. But if you love what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work, so let's make it that. Like, let's make it about that thing that you're starting to get really passionate about. And Brenda wrote in the comments, I want to get clear on my topic, of course. Like, if I could even just do that one thing for you today, that would be enough motivation, right? Because you're going to start to get excited. So, but Karen, did you have something? I saw you half raise a hand.
I think for me, it's like getting past the perfectionism. Like I am surrounded by people who write. I do writing groups. So and so there's this sense of, gosh, I don't know enough yet. And okay. I think I do know enough. I just don't know. And there's something I have to say. It's getting past that.
Yes, awesome. So you're in the right place for that. Some of the ladies who know me know that you're in the right place for that, because what I'm about to tell you, you really should write down. But your fear of not good enough, not being ready, not knowing enough, not being perfect enough is boring. Mm-hmm. Because there's somebody who, when you get this out in whatever imperfect way you're going to get it out, you're going to change their life. And that's what matters. And so we do have to get rid of the inner critic stuff at this point if we're going to up level, step up, and change the world, you guys. Like that, it's that big to me. And so I have a tattoo on my forearm, and the initials in this tattoo are YFIB, your fear is boring. And that was something that Liz Gilbert titled a blog, Your Fear is Boring. And it hit me so hard in the solar plexus the day that I read that. I'm like, oh my God, she's right. I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I stuck in perfectionism? Like my whole life I've been stuck trying to do it right for somebody else, but how about just doing it? Like, how about being the one that actually gets it done? You know, so do you want to be perfect or do you want to get it done, you guys? Of course you want to get it done. You want to get it out there. You want to be holding that beautiful book baby in your hands and just be like, oh, smelling the pages, right? And giving it to your friends and saying, I'm an author. It's exciting, right? I'll tell you a quick story. Bear with me, ladies who have heard it. In 2016, I had a stranger reach out to me on Messenger, and she was really struggling, depressed, mother of 5. And it popped up and she's like, I read something you wrote on Mind Body Green. I was wondering if you could send me some more links. A total stranger. And I'm like, whoa, of course I can. And, you know, so I had like 400 blogs written on self-care and all the stuff. And so I dropped a couple links, but I wrote her a blog and dedicated it to her anonymously. I went that extra step. And I invited my audience, who I knew were other mothers, healers, women who had suffered with depression. I asked them to step up in the comments with support. And they did that. And my friend Shirley, she doesn't mind that I talk about her now and use her name, but she went on to, you know, after kind of feeling that connection and that hope and reading the words, to write her own first 2 blogs for the world about, one was about depression, one was about being a mother of 5, and kind of like, you know, if I can do it, you can do it. Reach out, you guys, you know, who are struggling. And I didn't know at the time she had been planning the suicide note she'd write to her husband and 5 children. So you guys, if you're wondering if anyone is paying attention, they're there. I'm just lucky I get to tell you that story. I'm just lucky that someone actually did the messenger and said, hey, I need help, like, and reached out. I 150% believe with all of my heart that all you guys need to do is get your imperfect words out into the world so that somebody can read them and be touched by them. So that's driven me and my purpose ever since 2016, which is when that happened. And I've met Shirley. She's in New York. I've met her several times in person and given her hugs and met her family. And it's been a pretty incredible journey for me. But that purpose for you's got to be strong, stronger than your inner critic voice. Let that motivate you every single day. Put the picture of the person who's yours, Shirley, you guys. Put her picture in front of you on your computer every day. And the second your mind goes to, shut it down. Look at that beautiful face and write some more. There's editors to make it perfect. There's writing tips to make it perfect and shine and beautiful and awesome writing. But I don't even know if that blog that she read was particularly great writing. Do I care? No. You know, at this point, yeah. I may have back then like looked at all my typos and all that stuff. So let's talk about how we get clear on what we write at this point. And even if it's your second book and you've already begun to brand yourself with the first one, you might either be really clear on that and you know what your level 2 book is, or you might just be at that. I know several of you are at that thinking stage where, thank you, Phyllis, for those words. If you're in the thinking stage, then you need to think this way, and I want you to start to write this down right now, okay? What is something you love to teach? This is a 1 or 2 word answer. Write it down. 1 or 2 word answer. What is something you get turned on by? You could talk about it all day long. Could be anything, you guys. It doesn't have to be, you know, work related or business related at this point. Okay, 1 or 2 word answer. What do you love so much you could talk about it all day long? People have to shut you up. All right, and then what do you feel you were born to write about? Ooh, that's a tougher question, isn't it? It's a bigger one. 1 or 2 word answer, maybe a couple of answers there, no rules here. When you stay, oh, awesome, Karen, I like that. When you stay aligned in terms of your full on, turn on, lit up passions, your writing doesn't become work anymore. It becomes this huge gift that flows out of you very easily. And so when you guys are getting clear about what you're writing, I want you to think about a couple of different things. Who's your Shirley? Who's the ideal client? Who's the man or woman you're writing for? Would you all write down a first name of that person currently for you? Right now, write that person's first name, and then do me a favor and type those in the comments for me. Who's your ideal client currently? Like, told you made a difference for them. Loves what you do, buys your stuff, reads your current books. Karen, yours is Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
Ed, sorry, I was up with that other comment. I wanted to make sure you weren't talking about some random Nancy. I don't know. Ed, Nina, Kathy. So all of a sudden, you guys, if you're really feeling into my Shirley story, you know exactly what book to write. Or you know exactly what book to write next. So for those of you who are on book 2 and beyond, what's the second tier of what you teach that couldn't fit, the scope of it couldn't fit in book 1? What's the next thing in the level 2 way that you're thinking about your business, where like if you had a beginner client and somebody who had been with you for a couple of years, what would the experienced person who'd been with you for a while, what do they want next? What's their next level of problem that you're solving? Because we start off on the journey with the foundational things that we're learning, and that's one client. And then people evolve and they grow, we hope, right? And they move on to a place where they're interested in mastery. So that might be your book 2. And if right now you're in the thinking stages, then believe me, I'm giving you ideas for a whole series right now. So keep that in mind, because many of you who are writers, you already know you've got multiple books in you. It can be a really powerful thing to think about it ahead of time and plan it out and strategize it really from the beginning. So thinking about who that is for you is really important. And we're going to do a little exercise right now to kind of solidify that. And then I'm going to hear from some of you about that clarity that you're getting as you do this. Hello, Lulu. Welcome. So we're going to do a little exercise about this ideal client. And you're going to start a letter. You're going to write a letter. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to write as fast as you can this beautiful letter to Nancy, Ed, Nina, Kathy, Shayla. You're the person who came to you in your mind when you heard my Shirley story. And if you don't have a name, make it up. Okay, no excuses. And I want you to write a letter to this person, and here's how this letter goes. So in my case, she had read a blog, okay? It wasn't a full book, it was a blog. But, she got to the end of those words, just like this person would do with your book. And she was feeling a certain kind of way. So if I back up and I think about this as a tiny mission statement for my writing, whatever it is, you guys, it could be a blog or a post on social or a book. How do you want that person to feel as a result of reading your words? And what do you want them to be able to do? What action will they be in as a result? What will transform? What will shift? You can take this in any direction. Okay, you've got 3 minutes to write your person a letter right now. Dear Shirley, what I want you to feel as a result of reading this book is connected to a community where you feel loved and respected. And I want you to feel inspired to go after your dreams, to know you matter, to know you're not alone. You guys get the idea here?
Mm-hmm.
Go right into it. Okay, 3 minutes, off you go. Okay, just wrapping up that thought now. That last thought. Okay, pens up. So I know a few of you have actually done this exercise with me, maybe even multiple times. Some other questions you can add to this as you work on it. There's some places in the workbook for you guys to do a little bit more. What problem are you solving? What wild dream are you helping to make come true for them? Or what's the transformation they're craving? And how are you helping to facilitate that process, right? These are all places that our ideal readers and clients, they sit and dwell in these questions. They are at various stages of the spectrum of thinking of those things and feeling. And so knowing your ideal client, your ideal reader, down to the flavor of green smoothie they like to drink is really good. I've done multiple layers of ideal client work. I do it almost every year. I work on it more. And if you've never thought about that, like what I just said, like, oh, what do you mean? I've not done any ideal client work for my business. Man, oh man, get ready to have a transformation yourself. Because when you get into the lane of this, I'll call it niched place, you will suddenly you will feel like you're writing all of it. Copywriting, social writing, book writing becomes this laser beam, this powerful thing that speaks to people and moves them. And the reason that that doesn't happen is we're trying to talk to everybody. And when you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. It's not specific enough. So you guys are going to see in the first few pages of the workbook that I'm actually asking you specific questions about that person. Really go through that and try to answer the best you can. But even better homework is to invite the person to a Zoom, to a lunch, whatever, and interview them. Ask them the questions and record it, or take very, very good notes, because sometimes those people will actually give you copywriting that you can use on your sales pages. They're going to give you the words. So pay really close attention. Do that homework and email me when when you've done it. Let me know how it goes. It was one of the best things I was ever told to do for my business. I've done that 3 times now, 2 for the same person, and then 1 time for a separate sort of ideal client that I kind of thought, oh, she's kind of my ideal client too. So I did another interview. So any questions about that, and any comments about how writing that letter felt to you? Questions, comments? You just want to share about that? Just unmute, you guys.
Yeah, I've got a comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done ideal client stuff before, and you know, as a feeler, helper type person that most of us are, you know, we just want to give so much to everyone, but as you say, it just dilutes everything. It's like the more we kind of niche in and be really clear that, you know, what I have is exactly for you, the other person feels very seen and heard.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know where the workbook is, you said, but maybe that was on the email. So I look forward to doing that again. So thank you.
I dropped a link for you in the chat. Scroll up until you see that big fat blue link and click on that. That's this workbook is really big, you guys. And so Dropbox is like the easiest way I thought of to drop it to you. So let me know if you have trouble, Lulu.
So
okay.
in this chat?
Yeah.
Okay, because I came in late, I only get to see the chat once I enter.
Okay, let me drop it again. Hang on.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry, I forgot about you would only see what you saw when you came in.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there you go. So awesome. Thank you for that. Because if I had learned that lesson in the beginning of my business would have been tripled by now. Because I've watched my own journey and how that panned out over time, slowly, because I didn't quite get it in the beginning, or I was too afraid not to talk to everybody because I was too afraid not to get that business. OMG. Just stop that nonsense. And like, be completely unapologetic about your niche. It's okay. And it really, really is a powerful thing. Other questions or comments? Anything else on your mind about that? So if you get that clear as you start to think about what this book is, I think that things will start to come together for you. Who are you writing for? And as you're actually doing the writing, pretend you guys are sitting on the couch in your fuzzy pants with your glass of wine and you're talking to them. Let that writing be conversational like that, and really, like, you know, you care about what's happening in that exchange, and it's not robotic, it's personal. That kind of writing, write like you talk, is really welcoming.
I'd like to say just one thing that's was powerful for me when writing this. I do cancer groups for people who have cancer, writing groups, and there was someone who was with me in my very first writing group, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and then she would always say, but I'm not a writer. I don't really like doing this that much. And she was always like, would come out with something phenomenal. It wasn't necessarily poetic, but it was so deep and so meaningful. And got her obituary last week from her husband, and he had a card, and in that card was what she wrote from our very first writing group.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, I don't even know if he knew that. It was just, it was in some of the stuff that she had. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty powerful enough. It was like, it made a difference in her life to do the work, you know?
Yeah. Nice. Thank you.
Mm.
Okay. Anyone else with a leftover question about ideal reader, ideal client, writing that letter to them, the feel of that? Anything
Yeah.
else?
Yeah, I just want to say something. So I'm an executive coach, and so I just finished working with one of my ideal clients, and I was sorry that the year ended because I looked forward to our coaching call. So it was easy. So when you said to write that letter, I thought, oh my God, 3 minutes. It's like I wasn't sure I could get started in 3 minutes. And then I just kept writing and writing and writing.
Good. Yes.
What a great exercise to think of it as a letter,
Yes.
because we get so scared when it's a book. It seems so formal and rigid, and a letter is so personal.
Yes.
So that was really helpful.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, with the exclamation point. So a lot of the times I take my letter and I turn it into the introduction for my book, you guys.
Wow.
And so do more work on your letter, fine tune it, talk to your person in that introduction type of place. Let yourself be felt, you know, there with your words. Let them feel your passion and a little bit of the vulnerable place that you sit in when you think of your person. Let them be a fly on the wall of your heart, people. And don't be afraid to let them feel that. And man, I'm telling you, you read an introduction in a book like that, and you're just melted. You're like, oh my gosh, where has this person been all my life? You know, this kind of writing. Because it's all so perfect and professional and meh. You know, so, and if you guys know anything about me and what I'm doing in the world, you know, my mission is a bit different. My mission is to break down some of the barriers and the walls between the healer professionals and the people who are hiring them. We have to go first in terms of vulnerability and feeling and healing. We have to trailblaze that. And so these books that I am working on getting out into the world are that. You know, and giving people access to that changes the world. So you guys are awesome to be in the space of writing these things that are going to be doing this for people. Okay. So knowing the who, what, and why of this book is important. And we talked about the who. And so why do you want to write a book? Like, have you even asked yourself that question? And I know that I had to sit with it for a minute, like, oh, why do I want to write this book? Well, I want to help people. Okay, that's kind of broad, you know. In the beginning for me is I wanted to heal myself. I wanted to write the story from the beginning to the end and give my story a witness out loud in black and white. You know, is that a piece of your why? So that piece is in this workbook, and I would suggest that you sit, meditate with the why, be uncensored in your journaling of that part. Let it be selfish, whatever. I don't really like that word so much, but you guys get it, right? Like, let it be what you want it to be, the why behind why you're writing. That's energy. So if you haven't figured out by now, this energy thing is where I'm starting this off with. If you get into that kind of energy, if you really understand what the mission of the book is in terms of an energy and a feel for your reader, oh man, I think, you know, you're 90% there. And then it's just figuring out what words do that the best. So let that be a mission for everything you guys write, even social posts. What's the point? What do you want them to feel? Like the other day I wrote a post about coffee. I think that might have just been this morning. And honestly, the mission for that was like, let's lighten the fuck up, people. Like, can we just have a laugh in these 4 months of COVID and all the stuff that's going on in the world? Like, you know what? I still love my frickin' coffee and I'm going to post about it. And I just wanted to have some fun, you know? So what's the feel behind what you're writing? How do you want to help people into your world? You know, it really is cool. It matters. I was seeing you guys making some comments over here. I didn't want to write a book until I wrote that chapter. Oh, yes. Okay. So now you're ready, Richard. That's good. You are ready. Oh my gosh, Neelam, you totally have a whole book in you. Are you kidding me? You all have multiple books in you, right? You know this. I don't have to tell you this. Okay, so you're going to see the space for the why. That's an important place. Spend a couple of minutes there. And then there is also the what, you know, what do you want your reader to feel? And you guys really just did that with your letter. So you can use the workbook space and you can write that letter out in detail if you want. You could think of another ideal client. Maybe you want to write a second letter. Maybe you want to actually hone that in to be the introduction of your book. So this is a big scary thing, right, that we're going to do right now. But everybody who, obviously most of you are on your computer. And if you were one of the ones who said you were thinking about this, or one of the ones who said, oh, I'm on number 2, or I will be on number 2, I actually want you to open up a document, a new document in your computer right now. And you're going to just title it My New Book. And for those of you who hand wrote the letter, which I think probably most of you did, great. But I want you later to add the letter to the first page of this new book document of yours and rework it as an introduction, play with it, have fun with it, decide what you want to do. Okay? So, does everybody have their new book document? Yes? Is anyone like scared shitless that I made you do that just now? Yes, yes. I don't know what the yeses are for over there in the comments. You guys can unmute if you're having a feel about it. So listen, you are all now writing a book and you can start to talk about it. So the problem with thinking about writing the book is you will think forever. So I can give you lots of homework here, but you guys are going to have this little workbook to kind of put these exercises into this document. And that's what I want you to do, is just allow that document to be the place where you actually start to write. One of the most fun things I write when I start my books is my dedication. Because you all have people to thank about where you are in your life and why you're even writing this and who you are and all that. So write your dedication as one of the very first things in the document. You might write now in your document, page break, and put the big word dedication. And then you've got 2 pages of your book set to go. And you might even do another page break and put introduction. Oh my God, there's 3 pages ready to go, right? So right now I'm telling you parts of a book that are kind of fun and important to put in there. But you're also creating like a structure and an outline for yourself right now. Okay, so just do it, right? Just start anywhere. Okay, so is there anyone listening I know you guys are getting some clarity. I can see some of the comments. That's super cool. Any of you who I can either see or can't see, do you need anything else on the clarity part? Any other questions about how the book is branding your business or you? Ideal client. Are you not totally clear because you have 3 ideas, which idea it should be? Any of those are fair questions right now. And if you speak up, you're going to be helping the whole group. Going once.
I
Okay,
have a
Phyllis.
question.
Yeah.
So I always wonder about the length of a book.
Yeah.
And uh, I blog, and I am a pretty efficient writer, like word-wise, and I feel like I don't want to write a 300-page book on my topic. I don't think anybody should
Yes.
write a 300-page book on my topic. So one of my concerns is will it be too short?
Never.
Is 125 pages too short?
No. So here's what you guys need to do. You need to ask your ideal client this question. Hey, Shirley, what kinds of books do you read? How long are they? Do you actually finish them? Which ones do you finish? Are they 200-page books? Do you like a little bite? The mother of 5, are you kidding? So like, I better understand what she consumes. So this is part of that ideal client work. It's really great to know. I'm going to turn this and talk to you about me. Like if I was your ideal reader, I need like 10 to 15,000 word little book that I can stick in my purse. And while I'm waiting in the doctor's office, I could probably finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because I get this super awesome sense of accomplishment that I read a book today.
Mm-hmm.
I love those little books. I'm writing one currently that's about 15,000 words. If you guys know about NaNoWriMo, the National Novel Writing Month of November, that program is write a 30,000 word book in 30 days. So they picked 30,000 as a sort of minimum number for a small book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 150 pages, 200 pages. This book, you know, one of my signature books, Brave Healing, is 160. You can see the thickness of that one. The self-healing book is a little thicker. We went to 60,000+ words in this one. This was not that many words. But this is also a teaching memoir. So I was, every other chapter was a story, but then every other chapter is a guided tool. Mm-hmm. And so this ends up being a little bit more like, oh, well, people can actually, you know, do practical tools in here. But honestly, the best answer is there are no rules, my dear. So you have to ask your ideal clients, like, what do you think? Like, what's your best guess? And then what do you want to write? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would say anything from 15,000 words at the short end. You guys have all seen the, I wish I had one down here. I sometimes remember to bring them. But, you know, little pocket books that are little resources, or they're little ones. Why not write one of those, you know?
Well, my first book was even less than that. It's Life Coaching Tips in Haiku.
Nice. Life-ku. Oh my gosh. I need to introduce you to a friend of mine who is, yeah, the haiku queen. She's writing a chapter in our volume 2 book right now. She's amazing. I love haiku. Yeah. So it wasn't that many words, but it was a lot of work. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I get that. So, you know, that I know that you got to love the answers that are, well, it depends, or it doesn't really matter. I mean, but so it really is that, like, you decide what this is, because I think that's another reason people procrastinate. They don't think they have enough words to make it a real book. Well, who says? That's just preventing somebody from reading your stuff that could really be helped by it. Mm-hmm. And ebooks are cool too. You could do a short book, ebook, and make it a freebie for building your platform. Make it an opt-in. Mm-hmm. And that could be a short book that was easy for you to write, you know, maybe whatever, I don't know, I'm making up these numbers, you know, but what would be an entry-level book for people to come into your world to, like, maybe get some tips, but that you were collecting email addresses for. And that's a great way that I've written books to do that. So
I have one of those on my website right now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Brenda says, I feel I have many topics and haven't narrowed in on my Phyllis. I chose someone for the exercise, but think I haven't discovered who my ideal person is. Yeah. Well, that can be a form of procrastination too. So what I would tell people who are a little bit like, oh, I don't know my person, what's something you already teach? Brenda, do you have an answer for that you want to type in? What's something you could talk about all day long because you just love talking about it? My answer would be the connection of awareness to healing. That sounds so simple, yet you all know we could sit here and talk all day long about that, right? It's such a big, beautiful topic, and it means so many different things. Well, there you go, Brenda. So she says resilience, communication, relationships. So if I asked, and this is for everybody, but I'll ask it to Brenda because she's giving me an example. You need to answer as fast as you can from your gut. If I said, what turns you on the most? Resilience, communication, or relationships? Honestly, which word turns you on the most? Give me that answer. And so for those of you who are dabbling back and forth with ideas, where do you literally get excited so that you're getting out of bed without the alarm having to go off because you can't wait to write another chapter? This stuff is pouring out of you. You could probably stand on a stage and teach it to an audience. It's a great way to write a book, by the way, is to record yourself. Get that stuff transcribed. Half your book will be written already. So cool. She picked communication. Yes, I love it because that's another topic like awareness and healing. Yes, influential communication. I'm pretty sure you just wrote your book title, my dear. So put it in your document right now. Influential communication, and that will have a subtitle that will talk to your ideal reader specifically to let them know that that book is exactly for them. Front covers, titles are marketing, you guys. So you're going to give them what they need on the inside of the book, but you need to get them to buy the book. All right, so we're jumping ahead a little bit here, right? Book marketing is all the way over there on the other end of the spectrum, but so you got to get this thing written. But if you start to think about these things now, you'll be thanking me later, I promise. Yeah, I love that. Influential communication. So what does that mean? So you put in relationships too. So I'm guessing that will be the client. It'll be whoever that is. Guessing it's the woman, but I could be wrong. But you'll be speaking to that person in terms of what their problem currently is and how you're solving it. And honestly, you guys, many of you could be creating your online course while you write your book. Just open up a document number 2, my title, course, and your chapters are your modules. And what you do in that second document is you just make notes about what the tools you want to teach are for all of those. So if you're like me writing nonfiction signature kind of books for your business, you could easily be creating a course while you write your book. Yeah. Did she already go? Oh, Lulu, yeah, I'm recording. Yeah. So, okay. Questions, comments? Anything before I move on? Okay. So, if it's not scheduled, it is not real. If you guys want to write a book, you have to do, there's an exercise in the workbook. It's called a writing strategy. That's what the title is on the page. And what you're going to do is you're basically going to write for 20 minutes. You'll set a timer. and you'll get to the place where you understand how many words an hour you can type. You know, general flow of typing. You could tell the story all day long, so just pick something easy that you could write about. Time yourself for 20, multiply it times 3. You're going to have words per hour about. And then based on that, I'm going to pick 1,000 words an hour for right now, just for easy math. So if I can write about 1,000 words in an hour, maybe more, and I want to write my 30,000 word book by the end of August, you get that math? Then I need you to go to your calendar and schedule your writing time per hour based on your math and based on your end goal date of the first draft being done. If you guys leave today and you don't schedule, it's never gonna happen. If you schedule, you're gonna have that staring at you like all the other VIP appointments that you put in your calendar. And my life calendar is just that. It's my business and life all together. I don't separate them because I don't separate them. So if you're separating them, ask yourself why you're doing that. And if it's important to you, you'll make time for it. If you schedule it, you're way more likely to get it done. Okay, so that's part of the strategy here, is to actually do the math and get that schedule down on your calendar. Then of course, you know, stay accountable to your goal, to your dream, to the mission, and to your Shirley. Honestly, when you're having a bad day and you're like, I don't want to write, then I need you to stop that, and I need you to put her picture back up in front of you and just be like, okay, one more paragraph. And maybe you write a couple paragraphs that day. Maybe you go to the end of the book and write a chapter that you're excited about writing that comes really easy to you, and you don't have to go from A to Z. Pick something where you'll get unstuck and just write a couple paragraphs. So that little exercise is in there. I want you guys to do that. It's gonna make a difference. I've got some calendar pages in there that are there for you to scribble on. And we kind of talked about it already, but those basic book sections can really help you outline. You know, if you guys started this on your computer today, you're going to have your introduction, you're going to have your table of contents, you might have that dedication, you'll have the copyright thing. So up there with best homework I ever got was she told me to go grab 3 of my favorite books off the shelf. And so I would want you guys to do this. Go grab 3 of your favorite books and start to make notes about what you loved about the front cover, the title, loved or didn't love, okay? Either way. Because sometimes it's good to know what you don't want to do too, you know? The insides, like literally how it looks to you, how the order of the sections is, what turns you on about some of these favorite books of yours. And you're going to start to create the look and the feel of your book by doing this kind of research. And you can pick and choose. Well, wow, I love the way this author put the quotes in the shadow boxes. And that, I love the way that looked. It made it really easy to read and it stood out. Cool, I know that I want to do that in my book. And you can make some notes for yourself. And so thinking about those basic book sections, you can look into these different books and you can very quickly see what sections you want to add in your book. Is there a prologue? Is there an introduction? Is there a dedication? You know, you'll have the copyright section. Do you want that language? Did the person do a conclusion after all the chapters? How did they number the chapters? And then what you loved and what you didn't love about that. You'll very quickly create your unique version. I loved doing that because once I pulled a couple off the shelf, it's pretty quick. You guys will see immediately what you like about it. And then you'll also see other things you're like, oh, I don't like that. You know, like, look what they did there. That could be so much better. And you're going to be making your book beauteous. So if you're, so any questions or comments? I'll slow down a minute and see if you guys are thinking anything in particular about all that.
I've been thinking a lot about what you're speaking about the ideal client, and I feel like I almost need to sit with the person and as if hold their hand, because I'll tend to go into me where I really need to be going into them. And I guess I'm just feeling really stuck because I don't really feel like I have the person I was thinking about. It's not going to happen that I'll communicate with them in this way. So I'm just feeling a little bit stuck in how to connect with my idea of the ideal client.
Well, you guys know the biggest secret of the ideal client is it's just you 5 or 10 years ago before you got through what you got through to get to where you are today. It's you. You are your ideal client. That's part of the secret. So you learned certain things, you trained in certain things, you moved through certain healing in yourself, mind, body, and soul. And you overcame problems and you found solutions. And so you're talking to yourself. You are.
Right.
And so that's not bad. You know, that's not a half bad way to do this, to think about who you were and talk to yourself as that young woman, younger woman, little girl. And one of the other exercises in a writing class that I teach is, and Shelley, I think you've done this one, is, you know, you could write the letter to the little girl. Hey,
Right.
girl, what I want you to feel as a result of reading this, or how I want you, you know what I mean? So you can talk to yourself too. And sometimes that ends up being very powerful because you are also, it sounds corny, a niche. So like if you guys really pick apart who you are and you are unapologetic about speaking to her, you will be doing the same thing I'm talking about.
Right.
So I
That
like to have, yeah, it feels easier, right? It feels easier than guessing. I had to do a lot of guessing in the beginning, and then I didn't. I started to meet people, and I got brave about asking them to lunch and, you know, doing interviews. And honestly, people are honored to do this for you guys. They're honored to be asked most of the time, you know. And then Shelley, you know, a lot of times if it's just not going to happen or not possible, you got to do your best. And maybe there's somebody close you can talk to, close to that idea. Get, you know, do the best you can and start a conversation, because either way it's going to get you some clarity you didn't have before, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, anything else with that, you guys? Any other questions about any of it? Okay, so the other part of the strategy that I want you to walk away with today that's so powerful is your outline. It's a chapter outline. It becomes your table of contents. So when you write out your table of contents, and let's say you just pick 10 chapters for easy math, you know, you can start anywhere, by the way. I'm going to have 10 chapters. I don't know. Maybe I'll have 12 by the end. But believe me, when you start to brainstorm it, you'll figure it out. Write your chapter titles as if you were taking somebody from the beginning to the end with that through line of your book. And you're taking them on that journey, right? So there is a beginning to the journey and a middle to the journey and an end to the journey. So think about what those steps are. And remember, for you people who want to be doing a course, this is it right here. These are the modules of your, like if you have 10 chapters, maybe you have a 10-week course. If you have 20 chapters, sometimes that's still a 10-week course. It just depends on, you know, so you might put chapter 1 and 2 into module 1 of your course, that type of thing. So you have to decide which ones go together and which ones you want to teach together or separate. And I know I'm making a leap there talking about courses right now, but again, if someone had told me that way back when, I would be like, thank you. I would still be thanking them, you know, that I did that all at once, because it can be very powerful. So your chapter outline, table of contents type of thing, begin to take them on that journey, title those temporarily. That would be the next thing I would add to your document as you start to think about this book. And then from there, I want you to think, this could be multiple things, okay? But I want you to think about the scenes that illustrate each chapter to the reader, that help them be a fly on the wall to that scene, that is showing them what you want to show them for that chapter. In the beginning of Brave Healing, I'm taking you on a journey of awareness. And if I want you to feel, I have to get you into your body. But I could sit here and tell you to do that, or I could give you the scene of, in my case, it was my life, and we were sitting at the dinner table. It was a Thanksgiving meal that I had spent 3 or 4 hours preparing by myself for our family of 4. And you could imagine the aromas in the air of the different food and all of that, right? So I could bring you into the scene with that. I could bring you into the scene by telling you we were in a 4-bedroom log home in the middle of West Virginia on a 22-acre lot bordered by the river. You guys getting your pictures? And then we are at the table and a discussion starts. And so this is actually in the very beginning of the Brave Healing book. It was a dialogue that went back and forth, and it went something like, hey, you guys, I'm talking to my husband at the time and my 2 kids. Let's all go around and say what we're grateful for. That's in quotes because I'm writing the dialogue of the scene. And then the next line is in quotes, no, we're not doing that. That was what my husband said to me at the dinner table. And then I take the person into my body where my heart felt a pangy feeling and my gut shriveled literally. My posture changed in my chair. I started to feel nauseous, and I went into the other room and let my 3 family members have Thanksgiving by themselves. So you guys feeling this scene? You know, in lots of different ways you might be feeling this scene, and it's different for all of you right now. But if you can bring me into a scene that helps you illustrate what you're trying to do in that chapter. So in my instance, the very first part of my book is, are you feeling? Are you in your body at all? Or are you so up in your head with thoughts about your life and you're making those thoughts mean things? So what I want you guys to do is I want you to go through every chapter title, and I want you to list the scenes, the tools, the things you'd like to teach in that chapter, anything about that chapter that you would like to include. But if you can include at least 1 scene per chapter, you're going to be bringing your, you're going to be making your writing come alive in those scenes. Questions about that? Scenes come alive with dialogue. Scenes come alive with, if I'm thinking something in my head to myself, that goes in italics. It's not quote marks, but that's how you know I'm thinking it in my head. So I might have gone into the bedroom at that point and laid down on the bed, and I started to cry, and I thought to myself, oh my God, what am I doing here? So that line would have been written, I thought to myself, comma, oh my God, what am I doing here, was in italics. So you can do head noise to illustrate a scene as well. And it's very powerful to allow somebody into the mind of a character. Because it's a no like and trust thing. It's a, oh my gosh, me too. Oh my gosh, I'm not the only one that thinks that, right? So you're helping the person with that. Another way that you can get people into your scene is by getting them into their senses, any of those and all of those senses. So it was pitch dark at night. The grass was a little bit wet with dew. It was, you know, temperature. You could set the date of the year. It was, you know, Thanksgiving 2015, and it was pitch dark outside. So I just gave you the feel of the dew. I gave you the dark of the sight. The Thanksgiving meal was the smell. Like, you guys just go for it in senses. When you guys bring people into their senses, they are in your writing. When they fall out of your writing and start to check their phone, right, is you actually want to know when people start to do that. So it's great to have friends read some of your chapters and you ask them that question: when were you in this? And when did you start to notice you were checking out of my writing? And they're just gonna, you know, if they're honest with you, they're gonna tell you both, and both will be helpful to you. But if you get them with dialogue, head noise, senses, the descriptions of where you are, what people are wearing, the things they can literally touch with their hands, and you're starting to describe those nouns. Oh my gosh, you guys. I was lucky enough to go to Haven 1 and 2 with Laura Munson out in Montana in the beginning of my writing. And these are things that she helped me understand about my writing. And I had Brave Healing written, but I then went through a separation and divorce. And so that book sat in my computer for 1.5 years. And her Haven 2 was a divorce present to myself. So I went out there and I was like, oh my gosh, I flew back on the plane and I thought, I'm gonna have to rewrite this whole frickin' book, because of the way she helped me to understand, you know, how to get readers into that scene and into the material. It was the best thing I ever did when I finally sat down and decided I was going to go through the entire thing again to see where I was showing and where I was telling the reader what to do or what the scene was. So that's, if I could give you that one tip, it would be worth your time here today. Keep asking yourself, where are you showing them instead of telling them? And your writing is going to literally just be like, you will start to get really excited about your own writing. And you'll get comments too. People will start to notice. They'll tell you, wow, that's well written. And that's because you're doing that for them. Okay, so when we're talking about this strategy for this first draft, it's really about understanding your writing times, getting that scheduled down. You've got an outline to follow at this point if you've created a contents and the scenes and the tools that you really feel like go from A to Z in this book. And you know it's about sitting your butt down and getting the writing done. But once you have that outline, it is actually very easy, because you'll be able to, okay, I wrote that scene, now it's time to write this. And you'll be able to get back to your computer, start where you left off, and you'll know exactly what you need to do that next time you sit to write. And protect the time, y'all, protect the time, because people are waiting for the message in exactly the way that you have to tell it. Everything's been written before, you guys, but not by you. Every topic has been written before, but not from your perspective and exactly the way you write it and tell it and share it. Right? So some of these quotes I put up on my computer to remind me every day when my mind goes into perfectionism or comparisonitis or whatever the other things are that we do to ourselves, right? Okay, so I'm going to hang out for a few more minutes and talk to you guys about, I could answer some publishing questions, I could answer some launching questions, but I really would love to aim that at what you guys want and need. So I'm going to just open it up to you guys at this point and ask me any questions you have.
Laura,
Yeah.
so my first book I published in 2014, and I self-published it through Amazon's CreateSpace,
Yep, I've done that.
and CreateSpace doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, KDP is what it is.
KDP.
Yep.
Yeah. So, are you self-publishing your books, or do you have a publisher and an agent? How are you doing this? Because I know how prolific you are.
In 2012, I put out the first book through Balboa Press. It's Hay House's self-publishing company. I had an okay first experience and then started to learn a lot. I eventually took my book back from Balboa, canceled that contract last year, republished my first book, Baby, and it became an instant Amazon bestseller. I learned a thing or two. I changed the front cover, changed the inside design, learned a thing or two about launching, right? And I was coached to do that. And so that's why I republished, because looking at an old book and deciding to do that is a big deal. It's like, it feels overwhelming, but it was totally worth it. So I did go the self-publishing route with Balboa. I self-published through the CreateSpace, but now it's KDP. Met several times, probably 6 books worth. I was picked up in 2018 by an indie publisher who did Brave Healing for me. They since went out of business, and I had to cancel that contract and take that book back.
Okay.
Re-self-published it, instantly went to Amazon bestseller, which that indie publisher couldn't do for me.
Okay.
Or I shouldn't say that. It wasn't, of course, all on the publisher. It needs to be on both people. But I didn't know what I didn't know. And you learn things and you live and learn, right? I landed an agent last year who got a couple of bites for a new book that I'm due to put out in 21. But it didn't come to any fruition with a traditional publisher, and I'm not waiting any longer. I mean, I was honored to have an agent say yes. I know that book is viable because of that. And the fact that she couldn't shop a publisher for me, oh well, like I'm going to self-publish that puppy soon. Because again, you guys, it can take, 12 to 18 months for a traditional publishing thing to come to fruition. That's a year and a half where you could have been helping a lot of people and building your business with clients who read your book. A year and a half is a long time to wait, just wait to try to get it traditionally published. If one little note on that, you guys, y'all should be building your email platform yesterday. If you don't actively do that every single day, you need to be, because for an agent or a traditional publisher to look at you, your platform is gonna have to be up there. Thousands of email subscribers, multiple thousands. So did that, and then went back to KDP, now that it's KDP, and I've self-published 1, 2, 3 others that way, all Amazon bestsellers. The last one was a #1 international Amazon bestseller in the chronic pain category. So again, I've been getting a lot of coaching, learning a thing or two about this, and loving the process of launching those into the world. So I've done a little bit of everything.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. What else, you guys, along those lines? Publishing, launching, what do you want to know? You should definitely be thinking about those things even as you start to think about writing your book. One of the best cool things to do is to have a designer create your front cover, because believe me, you will write that book once you start to see that. So if you have a concept and you want to hire somebody to design that for you and it's in your face every day and you start to talk out loud about it to your friends, they'll hold you accountable. They'll be like, when's that book coming out? You know, so the best thing you can do for yourself is to talk about your book out loud now before it's written. Seriously. Best thing ever to hold you motivated, inspired, and accountable to this writing process. Talk about it to your friends, at least the good friends, the ones that will support you, right? There's costs for lots of things, you guys. What are you specifically wanting to know? You can just unmute or ask in the chat. So, you know, I pay a professional book designer for my cover and my interior. Designers are going to vary. You should shop around. Editors will also vary. Don't skimp on editing. Let somebody else read these words and do an edit on your book. There's a proofreading level, a copywriting level, or a line edit, copy line edit, and there's a developmental edit. There's 3 levels of that kind of editing that you can hire a professional to do for you, and you shouldn't skimp on it. I had 3 people proofread my first book before it went to an editor, and there were still mistakes. So like, you can't really do enough of that, right? I use Grammarly too. Grammarly Premium is a nice way to, you know, throw your words in, make sure there's no big mistakes. But even that's a little crazy sometimes. So you're usually in the, I don't want to scare you guys with this, but if you're doing a professional book that's designed professionally and edited professionally, you're in the several $1,000s range. It's an investment that you make. Okay, the publishing on KDP is free though. That part doesn't cost any money. Once you have the files that the designer has created for you, there's an uploading process to KDP, and then it's on Amazon, and it is cool. You can start to launch that book. You can purchase author copies at a very small price, usually like $3, $4, sometimes less. And you can sell those signed copies out of your office to your friends for the full Amazon price if you want. You can sell them for however much you want. So that's one way you make a little bit of money back on those books. You can make up the cost of doing this professionally in lots of different ways. And here's the thing I want you to remember about this. I probably give away more books typically than I sell, especially my nonfiction signature books. Why? Because it's an entry point into my world. And for $3, if they hire me for an hour of coaching at $200, boom, there it is. So you're not typically writing a book to make thousands and thousands of dollars off the book itself on Amazon, because Amazon takes a cut too, you know. But you are using it as a business building tool to get coaching income, online course income, you name it, keep adding to that list. If you think about it like that, you will look at the book investment as just that. It's going to be an investment in a beautiful thing that's going to be your business card on steroids plus some, because people are going to read that book, which gets me to back matter. The back matter of your book is that stuff in the back that leads people to, now you guys fill in the blank, your email list, your free Facebook group, your free, or not free necessarily, but your course, your coaching services, your speaking, I'm blanking on how to say that. You know, if you're a speaker, you can have a little place in the back that says, hire me to speak at your next event, and a contact information. The back matter in this book of yours is going to be really important. Yeah, keynote. Exactly. And you guys can probably add to that list. So what we did in the Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing, what you will see in volume 2 is a pretty awesome page of back matter where I am addressing the reader, but I'm addressing the reader as if they are an ideal client. And I'm saying, hey, healthcare badass, isn't it time that you submit a chapter for the next book? You know, do you want to fill out an application? You're going to come here to do it. And I think Miss Shelley Astroff's testimonial about her process going through that with me is there on that back matter page. I have 3 testimonials that are going to go there from authors who went through that process with me. So think about what that could be for your book and how that could make the investment of your book back and then some, you guys, seriously. What else about that?
Laura, do you offer like a turnkey publishing support process? So if I have my draft ready to go, I'm happy with it, I turn it over to you and you take it all the way through KDP. Do you?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Honest, I'm not a plant.
Yeah, no, thank you for asking. You guys, today is like, you know, I want to be able to give this free workshop on a regular basis to get you guys excited about the process. I'm right in the middle of a 3-month book writing program with some of my mostly gals right now. And the next book writing program isn't until November. So that, like, I don't really have a sales pitch for you guys today, which is, you know, fine by me. But the biggest 2 missions now of Brave Healer Productions, thank you, Richard, is to either take you solo through your book process. And that was a perfect way to say that, Richard, because you need to have the book written if you're going to get with me about that. It needs to be like, okay, here we go, we got it, I'm written. And then I grab the editor, the designer, the virtual assistant, I'm missing one key person in my list in my head. And I take you through the launch process. I take you through the KDP process. We get that book into the world and I help you understand how you're going to market and promote it after that even. So that's a big fat yes. Can't wait to help you guys with those books. And I do it a little bit differently. I do it from this perspective that we started the call off today on, and that is, this is a healing process for you. This is something I care about for you. Balboa, you guys, I haven't said this out loud too many times, but I'm competing because they're missing a big, big piece of the pie for healers. They're not giving the customer service in a way that makes you feel like you're cared for at all. They're just like, give me your money and here it's edited. Give me your money and here you can go, oh my gosh, you know, and they are Hay House's self-publishing company. Like, come on. So yeah, Brave Healer Productions, you guys, here I come. Here I come. So yeah, your book, get with me, you guys, if you want to talk about that. The co-author project is the other big thing I have going on. If you want to submit a chapter for the next project, I'm collecting applications. I will drop that for you right now so that you can take it with you and check it out if you're interested. So you would be one of 25 authors in the next Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing, and you would tell your story and teach a tool in your chapter. And these books are totally amazing. And there is the application. If you have a spot in a book, you will then get affiliate income for referrals to that same project. So Richard, you have a spot in my book right now. If you send a couple people my way, you're going to get $75 per referral for that co-author project. You guys, go ahead.
Oh, I saw that email. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I was just going to say, I'm so excited to be able to do that. I'm so excited to be able to give that back. As part of my mission is to help you guys build your businesses, get your messages out in the world. Oh my goodness, it's about time, right? That the healers of the world had a bigger voice. So what else, you guys? Anything? Any other burning questions before we finish?
I just want to say one thing, that when you were just talking about getting into the feeling of it, I felt like you reawakened something. So I really want to thank you for that, because it created a new idea on approaching the book and course that I want to do, where I felt like I was very stale. So thank you for kind of putting a little masala on it.
Yeah, you're welcome, Shelley. Thank you for always just being so present with your process that you're letting that flow through. I just feel like sometimes, you know, I'm doing pretty good if I can be the facilitator of that, but it takes you guys being really present to that, you know. So you're awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything? I'd be happy to answer any more publishing questions, launch questions. I have one other little gift I can give you. Hang on. I love giving gifts. Okay. So one of the other, and these are examples, the Dropbox workbook for today's workshop is one of the things I created to give away, you know. That's one of them, but I'm just giving you guys access to the workbook. I didn't create that as an opt-in. This next one is an opt-in, so you're going to have to lay down your email list, your email for this one. But for later, or if some of you who have launched already and you maybe didn't have the result that you hoped for. Sorry, I'm clicking away over here. This is what I created for the first launch team that helped me with the very first book, was a playbook for the launch steps. So this book is going, this little digital playbook is going to take you through the steps that I took throughout my book launch. And some people are going to look at that and go, oh my God, I feel overwhelmed by this, right? Because I haven't even written my book yet, or haven't even thought about it. So, but keep this in a little folder somewhere, because you're definitely going to want to take a peek at it. And for co-author chapters, co-author authors, what am I saying? Richard and Neelam and Shelley, you know, you guys, if you're thinking about your solo book, you've seen me do this process in this book I just dropped for you here. You've seen this. So now you're going to get this in writing, and you're going to kind of, you know, the little light bulbs are going to go off, because you're going to be like, oh, I remember when she did that. Oh, I remember when she did that too. And so this, I think, is a really, really nice way to kind of lay it out for you guys. There's one thing I don't think I mentioned in the playbook, and that is that there is a like an app or a program, I guess program's a better word, called Publisher Rocket. And Publisher Rocket is the program that I used to ensure my Amazon bestseller status. You pick categories for your book, and you guys, Amazon bestseller is not a hard thing to get. It's like everybody sees that and they think it's such a great thing, and they get all excited about it, but it's honestly not very difficult to get that status for your book. So wouldn't you rather be someone who is a best earner, like in your business? Yeah, like it's really cool to get that status, and you totally will be able to do it, but it's really not that big of a deal. You know, it's just a fun thing to check off your little resume and say you did it. So Publisher Rocket, that's how I did it. Secret's out. It's a really great program. I know, seriously, like, you know, and people in the beginning, like nobody said anything about it. And I had to kind of go with book coaches, and finally had this awesome book coach. And she's like, oh, you just need to go buy Publisher Rocket. I'm like, okay, sold, I will buy it. I think it's like $100 or something. It's not that big of a deal. But Richard, for people like you, if I take you through the book process, that I will teach you, and I'll help you understand what that program is, how we're choosing your categories, and that's how I help some of my individual people get to their Amazon bestseller status. So, you know, some of that you guys have, you know, some major jobs and you do not want to be doing all the details and you really don't have time to do all of this. You just need a really successful launch and you need somebody to help you. Then those are the steps I can help you with. Okay, you guys. So listen, you know where I am if you need me. And I'll be seeing a few of you soon in our next calls, but if anybody is interested in anything that I've talked about today, you just want some more information or you want to get with me for even a one-off coaching session, I can do any of that for you guys, okay? Thank you, Karen. I'm glad that you guys found that helpful. I'm really happy that you're here today. Thank you for coming. Thank you for spending a couple hours with me on a Friday. And enjoy your weekend, you guys.
Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
I'll
Bye,
see you.
everybody.
Thanks, Laura. It was great.
Thanks, Laura.
You're welcome.
Thank you so
Bye.
Bye, guys.